Early, baby. Set it early. 180.
You're listening to All Chiefed Up, the best damn Kansas City Chiefs podcast in the kingdom.
Chiefs Kingdom ACU crew, we're back with another live for that ass. A live podcast
so fast.
for that ass. Huh?
I thought you
Why am
were
I
in
talking
like
so fast?
I thought you were in like double time. You sounded like a chipmunk, bro.
I am. You remember the micro machines, man?
That's what you sounded like.
I'm practicing to be a one of those guys, you know,
An
that try to
auctioneer?
auction stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
One, can I get a one? Can I get a one? Can I get a two? Come on.
You came out the gate hot today, baby.
I'm about to get hot, dude. We're talking about some free agency for the first time in all season. This is our first kind of. Well, we dipped our toe in it on some previous lives, but
Yeah, just a little.
yeah, we actually got together. We did running backs, we did wide receivers, we did tight ends. That's our first three groups we wanted to look at. We skipped quarterback. Why? Does anybody think we're going to get a quarterback in free agency? You have to
Maybe.
sign a backup.
Yeah, maybe.
But do I care who it is? No, I don't care. I mean, we
Just get-
survived with
get
Blaine
Blaine
Gabbert, Steve.
Blaine Gabbert can come back. He has cool hair.
We survived with the Gabby Gab. Okay, I don't care who we sign. Go bring in Johnny Manziel for all, you know. Bring him in. I don't care. Let him win a ring.
Johnny Manziel. Did you see where he said he would made like he thinks he would have made some ridiculous amount of money in nil money when he was in college, which is true.
He would have.
But you know who would have made more?
Who?
Tim Tebow.
Yeah.
I think so.
Well,
Or Cam Newton? Maybe Cam.
they made money without NIL money. Let's put it that way.
They pulled the Johnny Manziel. They were selling autographs.
Johnny just was the scapegoat there. That's all that was to it. How's everybody doing tonight? Be sure to hit that sub button if you haven't subbed already. Be sure to hit that like button if you haven't. Get this out to more people. I know we're coming on a little late. Is it really late? We always do Saturday night tailgates this late.
Well, we don't really have a choice, you know, whenever we
Right.
can do it. But hey, you know what? Even though it's 10 our time, that means it's only 9 in the great
Right.
city of Kansas City, right? So
What's going on? Is everybody not? People not excited about Chief football right now? We still in the championship phase.
yeah. I mean, I'm still just soaking up the Super Bowl, baby. I haven't even got to like just enjoy it a whole lot. Everything's it's been like 100 miles an hour ever since that buzzer went out. Like the last catch there. Since McCole Hardman made the catch, it's just everything's been like whoa. Like
been wild.
dude, it's been wild, dude. So well, I mean, that's the thing. So I'm still gonna be soaking that up. I have months to soak that up. That's the beautiful thing about it. We have the entire offseason to soak that up and talk crap to everybody. We got all the bragging rights. There's gonna be so much trash talking done. I love it. So I got that on the back burner. But yeah, we did start talking about free agency, Mike. And just for you guys that are joining us tonight, we're gonna go over a few of those with you. We hit up 3 positions, is what we've discussed so far.
See,
And I actually put a poll up on here. What position would you rather see the Chiefs target in free agency? The options were wide receiver, running back, tight end, because that's what we're going to talk about today. And then there's also an other button as well. So make sure you vote on that. I'd like to see what you guys are interested in as far as position-wise goes.
Steve, you know everybody wants to talk about wide receivers.
That's what I think everyone's going to
That's
say.
what
but-
everybody wants to talk about wide receivers.
Yeah, possibly. Hey, Elgin Thrower starting this thing off right with the 10 bomb. Appreciate you, my man. Thanks for the support. Much love back at you, brother. Appreciate that. But yeah, man, I think most people's going to say wide receiver, right? I mean, that would be my guess.
Yeah, I would think so. But I will say this. So far, every wide receiver that's been thrown out, people's, you know, we figure we're poor. That's what they say. We're like, more stimulus, please. More
stimulus.
porridge.
You know what we need more
porridge.
of? We need more legendaries in the chat for Elgin Thrower with the 10
we
bomb.
do.
That's what we need.
Elgin with the 10 bomb. You know what? For Elgin, we're going to get right into it. Steve, wide receiver, Do you want to do wide receiver first? That's what everybody loves.
Make them wait for it.
Okay.
Let's go tight ends first.
Well, before we go into wide receiver, though, and before we go to anything, how about this? The Bengals, scared to death, tagging up T. Higgins because they know that's a tag and trade option.
Let's talk about that for a second. Right after we talk about old Pop with the 5 gifted.
Pop with the 5. Yeah, Steve, dude, this is what it was. They were scared to death. The Chiefs were going to go get T. Higgins, that T. Higgins wanted to be a Chief, and they said, no, we're going to tag you. We're going to trade you somewhere where you don't even want to freaking go. And now you're going to have to probably restructure, sign a contract there. It's probably going to be 2, 3, 4 years, and they're going to take him out of the Chiefs' hands for the remainder of the rest of the 2020s probably.
I think there was a couple different reasons for what they did. I think when they raised the salary cap, first of all, the Bengals already have a lot of cap space. So I think once they raise that salary cap, I think they thought they were safe. To go ahead
the Bengals
and
were in
sign.
a little bit of trouble though because of the whole restructuring Burrow and.
Nah, they're fine. But now that they raised the cap $30 million, Mike, or whatever it was, which is a record-setting, increase. I think that's what they're doing. I think they can keep him. Or option number 2, they were tagging and trading. Why let them walk for free when they can trade him? And like you said, they're keeping them out of the hands of other teams that could use him as a weapon against them, i.e. the Kansas City Chiefs. So I think that all played into it. But I think they're going to try to sign him and, probably work on an extension is what they're going to do. They're tagging him, work on an extension.
They have DJ Reader, defensive tackle, who's a big piece. He's a free agent. Tyler Boyd's a big free agent. Chidobe Awuzie, corner. Jonah Williams, they're going to probably let him walk in free agency. And then Irv Smith, they'll let him walk. Yeah, so maybe not. I guess they could tag T. Higgins. It does say they have about estimated 52 million. Somewhere around that. I would be curious to see what the Chiefs actually have right now. Do they have the updated?
I don't know, but I know that there's
lots
of different ways that the Chiefs can make a lot of space. Like I was looking at some scenarios earlier, and if they restructure Mahomes, and there was a couple other guys on there, like they can do a certain few little things and have 60 million cap space or something.
You can restructure Tooney. You could cut MVS. The Chiefs right now says estimated cap space somewhere between 26 and 28. Presumably that's not so the new 30 million comes into effect this year.
Right.
So does that go on? So presumably we have 28 plus 30, we're at 58 mil.
I don't know. I don't know the updated number on that, but yeah, presumably. Either way, they can free up a lot of space, but they have a lot of pieces to sign. So I mean, it's not like they're just rolling around like Scrooge McDuck in the money or anything. So
Scrooge,
we'll have to see how that goes. We got the 2 bomb from Flapjack. Appreciate you, brother. He says playoff left tackle play was bad, damn near criminal. It was not exceptional. I think. Left tackle is something they're definitely going to have to be looking at this offseason.
Mike,
you said Donovan Smith might be more sorry. You said Donovan Smith might be good enough to sign for another 1 year, that he played well enough to use him this year.
Right. Well, go look at who's available, and Donovan Smith's right at the top. There's nobody else up there worth a crap. The left tackle is very, very thin. Trent Brown from the Patriots might be the best fit, but he's more of a right tackle. I don't want to do the whole let's sign a right tackle and try to move Jawan Taylor. How about no? How about we get a left tackle? But are you going to find that in the draft?
How about no?
Probably not. You're probably not going to find an immediate start in the draft. So it's going to be Wanye, or it's going to be – I wouldn't be surprised if they don't try to re-sign Donovan Smith back another year. He'll play year to year. He may have to come down off what his contract last year. What was his contract last year? 9-ish?
Yeah.
Does he come down a lot, though? He's going to be like, well, you won a Super Bowl with me.
I don't think it really matters, bro. Like, I think they'll be fine. So you do have the worst case scenario is Wanye, and I don't think Wanye played horrible in the couple games he played. Yeah, he had a lot to learn. He's got a lot, I think Wanye can be much better than he is right now. I think he's got a pretty high ceiling. I don't know if that's long-term answer.
Right, that's what is he ready to play instantly?
We got to think, man. How comfortable do you feel with Wanye matching up against Max Crosby?
Right.
Or
well, he played 340 offensive snaps. Wanye did. Most of those were at left tackle. He had 3 penalties. He allowed 2 sacks. He allowed Mahomes to get hit 7 times. He gave up 24 pressures. He had a run blocking grade of a 47, a pass blocking grade of a 61, and an overall grade of a 54.6. I don't know if that's your solution this year either. Let's be honest.
Yeah. Appreciate the 2, Flapjack. Ray says Jawan Jennings looked good. Is he available? Jawan Jennings is available, and we'll get to this more. We're going to talk about the receiver stuff in a second. But just to let you know, Ray, real quick, he's available, but he is a restricted free agent. So if we were to get him from San Francisco, we would owe them some sort of pick or something.
Compensate. And I think they have a chance to match it.
Right.
He has to shut them down, and then we would have to owe them something.
He's available, but he's not. That's all there is to it. Flapjack also with a 2 bomb says that hat you got so fresh. Oh, yeah, I'm wearing the gray hat tonight, Mike. The silver fox is what I'm going to start calling this thing.
Right. The silver fox. I'm just wearing the O Kingdom. I need one of these that says crew. I should get it printed up.
Crew.
ACU crew right here in the middle with the logo. That'd be pretty sick, actually. Steve, let's get into it. Okay. Let's talk.
Hold on. Let's do that. Let's do it by this. Let's go to the poll. I'm going to go to the poll.
Go to the freaking poll.
I'm leaving the poll up, by the way. So if you haven't voted in the poll, go vote in the poll. Right now, it is 82% people want wide receiver is what we need to be looking at in free agency. So let's start with the low man on the totem pole here. Running backs. Only 5% of people think we need to be looking at a running back in free agency. So let's go ahead and start there, Mike, and we'll work our way up.
Okay. Before we start, why does only 5% of the people think that we need a running back? Because technically, Clyde's not on the roster. Jerick McKinnon's not on the roster. Neither one of them could be signed.
I don't think it's people think we don't need to look at it. I think they just think that wide receiver is the priority over the top of it, which is true.
That makes sense.
Which is true.
Okay, well, let's bring up the graphic. This is me and Steve. Now, the premise of this is we looked through all these free agents. We watched film. We done some research, every bit of research we could try to do. We wanted to find players that fit the Chiefs' scheme, fit what we do offensively, fit within the confines of what we would pay a running back, right? And this is what we come up with. So our top 10, number 1 is Jerick McKinnon. We think Jerick McKinnon, for the price, should be a priority for Brett Veach to sign.
It's most likely. This is the most likely. Just to preface this, most likely to sign with the Chiefs.
Right. Number 2, Clyde. Sadly, it is. He's about a $1.5 million. He knows the scheme, and I think he will try to re-sign McKinnon and Clyde. Now, presumably, if they do not sign McKinnon and Clyde, or they only sign 1, because you got to have 2 here, unless you're going to just go ahead and keep Perine or Prince, and then you're still going to need 2. Number 3 on the list is the new blood. We went out and looked at Washington's Antonio Gibson. Steve, Antonio Gibson, what do we like about Antonio?
I mean, first of all, he's not really lived up to what I think he can be, and that's the perfect target for Brett Veach, right? He always finds these guys that had this really high ceiling that haven't reached it just yet. Maybe they're just in the wrong situation. Also, Antonio Gibson has had to battle injury as well, but he's a versatile back. He can run. He's a very good receiving back, and that's a bonus in our offense.
He used to be a wide receiver before he was made a running back, so he's got those hands. He can do what McKinnon can do, and he's 24, 25?
Exactly. He's very young, and also, Mike, his market value is only $4 million a year. So that would be right up Brett Veach's alley, finding a guy with a really high ceiling that
you would.
I
can
still get him right in KC.
$4 million. I still believe at $4 million, he may have to come down a little bit. I don't think the Chiefs would offer $4 million.
That's just market value, right?
I
mean,
so
they can always.
Right. McKinnon signed last year for somewhere between 1.2, 1.3. And then Clyde last year played, he was still on a rookie contract. I don't think they're going to pay much more than $1.5 to $2 million. So is $4 million too much? Possibly so. But I do believe if you cannot get McKinnon, Antonio Gibson might be your best option there when it comes to somebody to replace a McKinnon. And by the way, Antonio Gibson can grind it out on the ground too. He's got some moves.
Right.
If you come down the list, number 4 was Boston Scott. Steve, Boston Scott is a little older. He's 29-ish. So he's a little older. But we chose to put him number 4 on the list. Why did we do that?
Well, first things first, money is a big situation for any of these. Plus, it's
Exactly.
fit, right? So, like I said, these are the most likely we think that will sign with the Chiefs. So it's not necessarily our favorite players in any certain order or anything like that. It's what we think will actually happen. Elgin Thrower saying he likes Antonio Gibson. I like that one as well, Elgin. But yeah, I think outside of the two guys that are already on the team, he's the most likely. And then, of course, Boston Scott. Mike, you were mentioning Boston Scott. He's a little older. He's 29-ish, I think.
But
Boston
McKinnon
Scott,
signed here when he was what?
right?
31?
Exactly. So with Boston Scott, though, he's very reminiscent to Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Like he's a small, very short bowling ball type guy. But I will tell you this right now: he's got way more speed than Clyde. Quit breaking stuff, Mike.
Sorry.
Much more speed than Clyde, and he's also more versatile as far as he is a kick returner, and he's a good kick returner. So I mean, you don't get Richie James back, right? Like Richie James don't come back, then that's covered.
It all goes hand in hand. And I will say, kick returning now, they've basically taken kickoffs out of the game. I mean, it's more valuable to be a punt returner, but something tells me that Boston has enough hands that he could do that as well. I don't think that's a big deal.
And just to throw this out there, market value on Boston Scott's only $2 million, so you could probably get him for even less.
He's right in the wheelhouse. So number 5, we got Devin Singletary. Steve, Devin Singletary kind of come out of nowhere. He signed a deal with, who was it, the Texans? And boy, did he play very, very well. And we watched film on Devin Singletary, and at first we were a little iffy, but we turned that film on and we were like, my God, this kid can, he's got some field vision.
When you first the first thought of Devin Singletary to me, my mind went to him at Buffalo. And it's like, man, I don't really recall him being like that big of a deal. Right. But if you watch his tape from last year with the Texans, that dude can play. Got a really good burst, very shifty. Like we liked him. We thought he looked like he would fit into a Kansas City offense pretty seamlessly. But he kind of made a case for himself to make some money this year, man. Like I think his market value
somewhere
is
around
$5 million. I would have thought it would have been lower than that, but he went off last year.
Right.
So.
He's a little pricey, but for his skill set being at $5 million, just for example, if you wanted to keep Prince and you didn't want to sign McKinnon and Clyde, you know what I'm saying? Because that now you add up 2 contracts. So maybe you could go to Prince, maybe you could go to Perine, and you just could afford one. Singletary could do it right at that $4 to $5 million. I really like him. Moving on, we got Salvin Ahmed. I think he pronounces Ahmed.
Salvin Ahmed.
That dude is a burner. He's a flat out burner.
But he's not. It's so weird. He
plays faster than that 40 though.
It's so crazy because Salvin Ahmed, like he has very good like top end speed.
Was like 4.56.
It's 40 times a 4.6, which is wild because you watch him play and the first thing you think is this guy's fast.
Right.
It's so weird. It's so weird. But this guy's he's a lot lower on the totem pole for me as far as like who I would like to see with the Chiefs.
Right.
I think he's
too perfectly in the wheelhouse for like a young guy with potential, not a lot of cost. Right.
Exactly. Like that's what comes with it. But I'm not, I think he's too much of a project. I'm not a big fan of it, but I do think it fits with what we're talking about here as far as the money goes and the type of back that they like.
He had some really good preseason games because he really shined in the preseason with the Dolphins, and he looked pretty good with them. Some of these are just flyers that we think Brett Veach could take. So we thought his game fit what we needed. Right.
Before we move on, Mike, Roberto with the 2 bomb says we need to link up and get them tattoos. We do need to get some freaking Chiefs tattoos now, right? I mean,
right.
We got to get it done. I know. I think it's an HD Chiefs fan. Is it Kyle? He's actually got his tattoo artist set and ready to go. We just got to figure it out.
Right. He's sent it. He's from Nashville, right?
Right. So we all got to link up and figure this thing out. Why not? Appreciate the 2, Roberto.
Onward. Number 7, we put up Zeke Elliott. And look, Zeke Elliott at 7 was not something we wanted to do. We just took a top 10. Okay. But Zeke Elliott, we thought he looked decent in times last year.
Yeah,
He can catch the ball out of the backfield. Preferably, I don't love if I had to sign Zeke Elliott, I would just take my chances with the draft. But for the sake of top 10, he is on the board at 7. To be honest, anybody after number 6 or number 5, I'm probably just looking to the draft. This is just for the sake of we made a top 10 list.
Right. Well, Zeke falls into that $3 million market value range.
Right.
If you could get him for cheaper than that, I do like his experience level. Zeke's obviously on the back end of his career. He doesn't exactly fit into what we want to do, but I think he would be an asset in some ways. But I almost feel like he'd get the Ronald Jones treatment if he was on the team too.
I was just going to say that. I feel like he could turn into Rojo Part 2, and I really don't see it. But what you're going to see now is we'll just do 8, 9, and 10. DeAndre Swift, who wouldn't want to have DeAndre Swift? Austin Eckler? Yeah, there's people wanting Eckler. Number 10, Saquon Barkley. My God, who wouldn't want Saquon Barkley, Steve?
They all fit. Those bottom 3 fit in our offense better than anyone in the top 7.
Right.
But the problem is,
are the Chiefs going to throw out $7 million per year on DeAndre Swift?
Or $7 million a year for Austin Eckler, or $10 million a year
for Saquon?
No, they're not going to do that.
Right, and that's why those guys are 8, 9, and 10. Not because we wouldn't like to see them here, but Brett Veach is not going to spend a lot of money on the running back position. I think he's maybe signed 1 or 2 guys, and they may be somewhere between 1 and 3, 3.5 if they're lucky. And if you can't find nobody there to fit that mold, he's going to the draft. He's going to the draft.
Mike, bring that graphic back up. Just a quick recap. This is the most likely to sign with the Kansas City Chiefs in free agency as far as running backs are concerned. Our list from 1 to 10, Jerick McKinnon, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Antonio Gibson, Boston Scott, Devin Singletary, Salvon Ahmed, Ezekiel Elliott, DeAndre Swift, Austin Eckler, and Saquon Barkley. Throw in the chat who you think out of these 10 guys would you like to see if you're considering the money that needs to be paid to them. Let us know in the chat. Do you think it'd be better to stick with McKinnon, Clyde Edwards-Helaire? They know the system. Or you think it'd be cool to bring in new blood like Antonio Gibson? Y'all let us know in the chat.
Right, and that is possible. Ty Fly says, do you think Eckler will be costly? Yes, 100%. I think Eckler actually last year started to decline a little bit. He don't have as much burst. The team was kind of not very good either. But I just, for what he's supposed to bring at his age, now could Brett Veach go out and sign this cat? Maybe so. Maybe he talks to Drew Tranquil, like you just said, and maybe he wants to come chase a ring and he'll take one. But look, $7 million, and something tells me Eckler wouldn't want to play second fiddle. I think he still believes he's a feature back. And I believe,
man, I've never got that vibe from Austin Eckler, though, to be quite honest. He don't seem like the star, like spotlight type of guy. Like he's kind of been the glue to that team over there, and he don't get a whole lot of credit for it. It's always Justin Herbert, Keenan Allen.
Yeah,
you know?
Mr. Few says he likes Zeke to join us. We've seen that a few times. KC fan says, give me DeAndre Swift. Boy, I'd love him. I just don't think we're going to pay him.
$7 million market value, is that what he's at?
Yes. Yeah. So would you pay him? Okay, look, if he signs 1 year, 6.5, would you still take him? No. Why would you pay Isaiah Pacheco your feature back on a rookie contract year 3, and you're going to pay $6.5 million to a change of pace back? Yeah, I think DeAndre Swift. Now look, Brett Veach could come in here and prove us all wrong. He really could because he's a wild card. But something tells me no back on this list is probably getting signed from 10 all the way down. I honestly think the best
top
guarantee, right? The top 4, and to be honest, Ahmed right there at number 6 probably jumps Singletary because Singletary's price.
Right. Well, we got the 2 bomb from Brenda. What's up, Brenda? Good to see you.
Brenda,
hope you're doing good.
We kind of talked about J.K. Dobbins, didn't we, Steve?
We did. I think the main reason we strayed away from J.K. Dobbins was injuries. He's definitely a risk.
But that makes him cheap, though, right? A 1 year
prove-it
deal.
What was the market value on J.K. Dobbins? I don't remember off the top of my head.
I don't remember. Let me look really quick. But I do think that he may be on a 1 year prove-it kind of deal, right?
Yeah, it's not the worst idea in the world, Brenda. We did discuss it. He's at about $2.1 million market value, so he falls into that range with.
Right.
He's a little bit cheaper than Zeke. He's going to be around Clyde Edwards-Helaire money. I think honestly, like, wouldn't most Chiefs Kingdom rather take a flyer on J.K. Dobbins and re-sign Clyde? Wouldn't you think so?
Yeah, this is kind of the mentality with the Clyde and Jerick. A lot of Chiefs Kingdom want Jerick back. But Jerick may retire, and Jerick also missed a lot of games this year. He's always been injury-prone his entire career.
Right.
He missed some games this year. Now, he did get back in time to play in the Super Bowl. He was effective. But does he just hang it up at this point? Does he want to come back? We don't even know all these questions. But yeah, I think when it comes to Clyde is healthier. Clyde is younger. But I don't think there's a big market for Clyde.
Well,
so Clyde may come back and be like, hey guys, I'll play for one.
Can I
ask
you this? Can I ask you this
Yeah.
though? Is Clyde I'm sorry, is J.K. Dobbins even more injury prone than Clyde though? I feel like they've probably missed equal amount of time. I don't know. I could be wrong.
Right.
But that's definitely was something we talked about, Brenda. So that one's not out of the realm of possibility. I just don't know if they'll go that route. So we didn't put them on the list. But 5 bomb from Roberto says, I'm close enough to Nash, Sellersburg, Indiana. So boys, if you get them, I'm there with you. We'll let you know, Roberto. If we get it all set up, we'll make sure you know about it, and we can have it. Hey, if you guys don't care, throw some legendaries in the chat for Brenda and Roberto for the donations. We appreciate you guys. All that goes a long way to helping the channel. Also, just word of mouth. Tell your friends. Tell your Chiefs fan friends and your family. All chiefed up. That's where they need to be at on YouTube. So do us a favor. Do that. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Hit the like button if you haven't already tonight. Just takes 2 seconds. And Mike.
Yeah. Go ahead. I don't think people are super thrilled with the running back list.
I don't think that a lot of people are worried about the running backs. Like, I think the common sentiment with everybody is, well, we have Deneric Prince. We have LaMichael P. Ryan or whoever.
If you thought the running back was disappointed, wait till you see the tight end list. Look, this is a bad market for tight ends this year.
Well, you have to think
insanely bad.
You have to take the draft into account here. Like, this is only free agency, right? So look, I think
let's just jump in the tight end. Let's rip the Band-Aid off. So look, number 1, Drew Sample. Drew Sample plays. He was good in college.
You sounded so apprehensive and just sad to say Drew Sample.
Because that might be the best fit for us. He does play for the Bengals. Maybe you could take a little shot at the Bengals for locking up T. Higgins. I don't know. But the reason is if you look at number 2, you've got Blake Bell. Why?
And people were so mad at Blake Bell this year over one poorly thrown ball by Patrick Mahomes.
Right. But you're saying, why do you have these guys here? You know? Number 3, Kobe Parkinson from the Seahawks. He played, I want to say Stanford. 4, Adam Troutman. He played with the Saints. He couldn't catch the ball. He was relegated to a blocking role. Then he gets traded to the Broncos, and then he starts to be able to catch the ball again. And then number 5, Mike Gesicki, the only true catching, slot receiver kind of Kelsey-esque guy. But you ask yourself, Steve, why did you make this list? Where in the world's Noah Fant? Where in the world is Gerald Everett? Where in the world is all these guys? Where's Hunter Henry?
I would have had them. Like, I think I would have very hard pressed to
go ahead, Steve, put them on the list.
I think,
you think we're paying them $11 and $12 million a year, which is what they're going to draw out in free agency?
No, it really just here's the thing. I don't think that because I don't think that Brett Veach is to the point yet to where he feels like he needs to do that. I think
none of those guys are a replacement for Travis Kelce.
No, but I tell you, the guy on the list that I like and the guy I've liked on that list for ever since he got drafted was Mike Gesicki. Can we afford him? I don't know. But Mike Gesicki
doesn't even matter.
First of all, and our offense would be an absolute monster. Second of all, you could double tight end him and Travis Kelce and absolutely give team fits. I like that one.
You don't need it.
You don't need a lot of things.
This is why the list looks like that, and why the list didn't have all those.
Well, Mike, we don't want to be the. We don't want to. While you're analyzing these things, you can't be the old token Chiefs fan that says we don't need it. We don't got no money.
I'm not saying it because of that reason.
Right.
We've got Travis Kelce on the team, and Travis Kelce makes a big chunk of money for a tight end.
Right. And Noah Gray is great.
Noah Gray is in the last year of his contract. This is the most money he's going to make on his. He's not going anywhere. If anything, they could restructure Noah Gray. Noah Gray has a pretty good solid. He's the number 2 guy when it comes to pass catching. Blake Bell made the team this year, and he made the team over everybody's favorite, Matt Bushman. Why? Because Matt Bushman is more of a hands pass catcher kind of guy. He's not a blocker. Yeah. They told
Blake
him
Bell's
he
one of the
has
better
to block.
Blocking tight ends in football.
Right.
So
our tight end 3 in the Andy Reid system blocks. We don't need another pass catcher. We don't need that. We need a blocker. And Drew Sample, is a very high-rated blocker. Blake Bell, same. Kobe Parkinson, very high-rated blocker. Adam Troutman may be the best blocking tight end on the list. So if you're going to replace Blake Bell and what he does, he pass blocks, he run blocks. You have to replace that, because if you're not replacing that, they're just going to bring up old boy from the practice squad. We already have somebody there.
Right. We got a 2-bomb from Roberto here. It says, shout out to Antoine Falls, my boy in the kingdom. So shout out Antoine. Appreciate the 2, Roberto. So Mike, a lot of people I haven't even got to look at the chat for a second, but I'm pretty sure there's going to be a lot of people saying, hey, I would like to figure out a trade for Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts is always the name that people want to go to when you're talking about the Chiefs getting a tight end. That's going to be near impossible, right? Like the Falcons aren't giving him up. We're not going to give away what it would take to acquire a Kyle Pitts. That's just I feel like that's in the pipe dream category. Would I like to see it? Sure. Would love to see him on our offense, but I just don't think it's feasible. I think your list is good. I think the 5 is good. But obviously, I don't have the market value for those guys right in front of me. I think Gesicki's a little bit more expensive than the other guys.
Gesicki was around $4 to $5 million per year.
If you could get Mike Gesicki in here on a $3.5–3 million, like just a little bit below his market value, do you do that, Mike?
Where are you going to use them?
Well, I mean, here's the thing. Like, if they don't sign back Blake Bell, right? And then Jody Fortson is...
Yeah. Well, I can see them maybe doing Jody Fortson, but look, that was taking 4 tight ends, right? I don't think Andy wants to take 4 tight ends again. I don't think we want to be in that necessary, like that camp. I think 3 is sufficient. So you take 2 pass catchers and you take a blocking tight end.
Right.
Right? Chief Kelsey, Hunter Henry, cool. I cannot find a way in any feasible world that we're going to pay him $10 to $12 million a year.
Is he really? Is that really his market value?
I'm pretty sure he's up there. I'm going to check one more time.
I feel like he's like that's ridiculous assessment.
I'm going to check one more time.
Yeah, like if that's
his market value, he had just signed. Okay, his market value is $7.5 million per year. So I was a little steep.
That's still high though.
Right? Are you paying $7.5 million for a? And again, okay, if you bring in Hunter Henry, he's nowhere near good of blocker as anybody on our list. Okay, he is a pass-catching tight end. So where does Noah Gray fall? Noah Gray goes to tight end 3, and he don't really block too well either. You've seen Kelsey almost kill Big Red over the fact that he had him blocking.
Well, I think
Bushman on our practice squad doesn't block. That's why he didn't make the team last year.
If I'm not mistaken, Hunter Henry's very injury-prone as well. He's dealt with a lot of injuries.
But I'm just saying, look, tight end is not where the Chiefs want to spend money in free agency.
No, I think if they decide to draft one, that's
I could see that happening.
Yeah.
But look, Drew Sample is $1 to $2 million. Blake Bell's going to go for $1 to $2 million. Kobe Parkinson, that kid can flat out play, and he is a pass catcher, and he's 6'7", 250. That kid can flat out block. He's wanting somewhere between 3 to 4. And I actually think that Troutman being $4 to $5 million is out of the question, in my opinion.
Right. Brian Parrott says, let's have a poll in the first round pick position. We will get there. We'll get there. Right now we're in free agency, Brian. Man, we were just talking about that beforehand. Like, man, I'm so ready to dig into the draft stuff, but we got to cover some free agency stuff first.
Right.
So that's
Ron,
where
our boy, throwing out the member. He's the new member today. Ron's been a member forever. I like how it just throws him out here and says he's the new member.
Right. That's crazy. That's good stuff. He's always giving one away. Today he said, you know what? I'm going to take it myself.
I'll give it to myself. How about that? Yeah. So look, I don't think the tight end and even the running back position, the running back and the tight end are not places where Veach wants to spend his money. There's Ron's one gifted right on cue. Look at that. Appreciate Ron, man. But yeah, that's not where they're wanting to spend their money because again, Hunter Henry, Gerald Everett, Noah Fant, these guys are playmakers. These guys want big money, and these guys, they're not going to overtake Travis Kelce. And honestly, I don't think they would overtake Noah Gray at this point. I think Noah Gray, the Chiefs are looking to see if he this year can maybe step up and take that successor.
Right, well,
role.
I mean, he's going to be in a contract year, so this is the year that he needs to make make a stand for himself. Hopefully they'll give him more opportunities this year because I do think Noah Gray is a good tight end. I think he could be a good option going forward.
Well,
he reminds me a lot of Kelsey.
Yeah.
Like
The
when he's
tight
out there, he
end-
looks like him. He runs like him.
Right.
He runs good routes. I think that he's not obviously going to be like a generational player like Travis Kelsey,
Right.
but
And look,
he's similar.
just because we don't go to free agency with the tight end doesn't mean we don't get a tight end. You could go to the draft. There's some pretty good tight ends in the draft. We'll talk about draft more, but I mean, there's some tight ends down the board, and then there's just nobody on free agency this year that I think that the Chiefs want to spend money on, in my opinion. So that's just the way I would see it from that.
Yeah. Hey, Brian got gifted the membership from Ron. That's good
Hey,
stuff.
Brian Parrott got a membership, but did he ever receive a hat? He did. He got his hat.
He did. He really
did get his hat. Sorry, I didn't mean to click that one. Yeah, he did get his hat. And by the way, Kenneth Caldwell, everything went out in the mail. It should be coming any day now. TVG won a hat, I believe. TVG, you're getting your stuff in. It's all out. So, yeah, Steve, that's where it is. So far, the running back room, the list isn't the sexiest of lists. I mean, I know people want to see, Saquon at number 1, somebody like that, but you just can't do it. That's just not where they're going to spend their money.
Well, right. This is not a list of who I think is the best and who I would die to see playing for Kansas City.
Right.
These are a list of most likely. This is most likely that you see them getting signed by Kansas City. So I mean that's why they're so low on the list.
Right.
I mean it's just I think our crew here, Mike, is knowledgeable enough to know that.
Yeah, I think they get it. I think they get it, but I think a lot of people have different ways of that, the way they think the team should be built.
Oh, definitely. And it's good to see everybody's perspective on that as well. And speaking of, there's going to be a lot of opinions on wide receiver. So why don't we go ahead and get into wide receiver real quick? And then we kind of, we can just chill for a while and talk about the rest. So,
okay. So our number 1 wide receiver that fits, we think, is Marquise Brown, Hollywood Brown. Hollywood Brown. We think that even his value, what he's looking to get, isn't he somewhere around the 14 million mark is what they're saying, right?
Yeah, market value on Marquise Brown is $15 million.
So right at that 15 million mark. Now that could be out of the question, but I think Marquise Brown fits the role of the receiver that we like to have.
Wouldn't that make Patrick Mahomes happy? Don't you think that would put a big smile on his face?
Right. I could see us paying more 15. I could see us paying somewhere around the 15 million mark for Hollywood Brown more than I could see us paying around the 23, 24 million for Mike, Evans. But number 2 on the list, Curtis Samuel. Now, look, that's another name, Steve, that it's not the sexiest. Chiefs Kingdom's not even talked about. I've not seen one person link Curtis Samuel to the Chiefs.
Do you know why they haven't, Mike? It's just pure name, right? Like, he's not a big name. But if you go watch his tape, Curtis Samuel is he's a lot like Debo Samuel. We had actually talked about that, Mike. We're like, what, are they related or something? But this guy, he's very versatile. He even runs the ball out of the backfield. The guy can catch. He's a very good receiver, and I think he fits very well into the Chiefs' scheme. Like, I think this is like an underrated signing right here. If they were to go out and get Curtis Samuel, which his market value is somewhere around $11.5 million,
right at the MVS one,
a lot of people would think, man, why? Who's this? Like, there's probably people in the chat right now that don't know who he is. But the crazy thing about it is he's a damn good receiver, dude, and I think he would fit very, very well. I would be happy with it.
Right. He only had 4 drops on the season too. So, I mean, you would think 4 drops, that's a lot. But they do feature him a lot. They also feature him running the ball. They feature him running the ball a lot. Yeah, he knows where to go. I'm just showing some more of his stuff. He's got pretty good hands. He's very deceptively fast. He's got straight line speed. He knows how to get open in the zone. He's very good in the screen game.
Yeah, he's also only 27 years old. He just turned 27, so there's a lot of gas left in the tank there. I think that would be a good pickup for the Chiefs, and I think with money being a big issue for the Chiefs this offseason, I feel like this is a guy that you might be able to get the production of a $15-16 million guy out of at a lower price. So does Brett Veach go the value route?
Right, and dude, like you mentioned, he also he does a lot of the end around stuff. He does a lot of the backfield stuff. He runs the ball, but he's good in the screen game. Look at his shiftiness. He kind of reminds me a little bit of, doesn't he kind of remind you of Rashee Rice in a way? Like that elite
Yeah.
burst.
Yeah,
Could you
for
imagine
sure.
two of them? Here he is on the reverse. Check this. Like he's pretty fast. He's elusive. He can get up the field.
He's got good
I think
field
he's a
vision,
good
too.
signing.
Right.
I think I would be very pleased with that signing. And I know it's not the sexiest. Number 3, Darnell Mooney. Steve, a lot of people are talking about Darnell Mooney. He's kind of one of those guys that has not lived up to his billing, right? Like he had one
Right.
pretty good standout season and then he just kind of fell off.
Right, but there's some things that play into this here. Darnell Mooney, first of all, he's a 4-3 guy. He's a burner. And we all know how Andy Reid and Brett Veach love their speed. So there's always that. He's going to be more around the $11 million mark. I think his market value is around $11 million. So kind of in that Curtis Samuel ballpark. But he's a smaller, faster receiver. And the link with the Chiefs here is that he had his best year as a pro in Chicago with Matt Nagy. So there is a link. So there's a lot of people that think Darnell Mooney's almost a lock to sign with the Chiefs, and they think that that's definitely going to happen. We are not on that fence. Like, I'm not on that side of the fence. I don't think it's a lock by any means, but I do think that it is a nice fit for both sides, and it makes sense for him to be at 3 on the list.
Right. Yeah, I agree. Amy says, I would like Samuel. He's good, inexpensive, and someone who can be a great vet for the receivers. That's what me and Steve took into account here. We thought for the price, on film, Samuel looks better than his market value does. Like
for sure.
He looks now. Look, he's not as good as Hollywood Brown. That's why Hollywood Brown's worth 15, and why we put him at the top. But dude, he's right there. And doesn't it just feel like something Brett Veach would do? Doesn't he just kind of feel, Steve, like, hey, you guys want a name brand Cheerios? No, we're gonna get the Walmart Lucky Loops or whatever they're called.
The great value. Hey, we got a 5-bomb from Enrique. He said, is there a guy we can go after specifically to solve our end zone troubles? That was our main problem, not moving the ball. Yeah, in the red zone. I think that what's funny is we almost sound like car salesmen trying to sell Curtis Samuel to people, but that's not the what we're doing here. But out of the top 3 here, I feel like he's the best red zone threat.
Yeah, because of his ability
to be quite honest,
in the screen game, his ability to catch the ball in the backfield. He's got a good contested catch rate too.
His ability to run the ball out of the backfield.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he offers a lot of things. So it's almost like he's
an upgrade for Mecole Hardman in the red zone. The way they wanted to use him.
100%. That's where I was going. I feel like he's got that gadget gene in him where he can do a lot of different things, but he's a much better receiver than just gadget guy. So I feel like it's kind of a twofer there. So yeah, Enrique, I think that would be the one I would lean to. As far as what we've talked about so far, as far as a red zone threat, I like him. But Mike, let's go ahead and move on to number 4. Put some legendaries in the chat for Enrique.
For sure. Before we go to that, I wanted to answer this one. Flippy McDrippy says, wait, Steve and Mike, would you be reasonable for a trade, Kelsey for Justin Jefferson? The Vikings would not touch that.
Not in a million years.
Yeah, the Vikings would not touch that trade ever.
They wouldn't
Kelsey's
take 3
too
Travis
old.
Kelce's. Yeah.
No, Kelsey's a little too old right now. I'm not saying he's not dominant, but he's way too old comparison to Justin Jefferson. Justin Jefferson's going to play 8 to 10 more years. Kelsey may have 3. So, yeah, I don't think that one. Let's get back to it, Steve. Back to the wide receiver. We're at number 4. We got your boy Calvin Ridley. Now, look, Steve, Calvin Ridley, we've talked about Calvin.
Love Calvin Ridley.
But, boy, is his market value kind of went through the roof.
Well, not really. I mean, he's in that Hollywood Brown category, but he's a little bit more expensive.
He was at 17, wasn't he?
Yeah, he's a $17 million guy. Well, that's, like I said, market value. So, I mean, obviously things could go differently.
Yeah, they may take a little less for sure.
But Calvin Ridley came in with the Atlanta Falcons, and I feel like Calvin Ridley was very dominant one season. And then he got in trouble. I really wanted the Chiefs to go after him when he was suspended. I thought that was a good time to get him.
we were wanting him to throw a pick and try to get him on the cheap. But look, we don't know if we tried that, but there was no indication that they did try that. So isn't that kind of odd that if they wasn't really going to throw a cheap pick flyer, you think they're going to pay 17 per?
Yeah, I mean, you could think about that. I don't know if that's how that went, but it's a possibility. But the thing with Calvin Ridley is he's a small, fast receiver, which is, like we said, that's what they love. But Calvin Ridley plays way bigger than he is. Like, he can make some contested catches. Like, he can be a go-to guy that can take a game over. I mean, we saw a game this year with the Jacksonville Jaguars where he had like 150 yards receiving, 2 or 3 touchdowns.
Right.
Like the guy can take a game over. He's an absolute beast. And I don't think he's hit his ceiling yet.
Isn't it kind of weird, though? We were discussing this the other day. Mike Evans is going on, 31, 32? Calvin Ridley's only a year younger.
29.
Isn't that crazy?
He's 29.
Like, nobody would have ever thought Calvin Ridley was borderline in 30.
Right. Well, a lot of people, I think Joey in the chat said, wasn't he a bit of a bust? I don't think Calvin Ridley was a bust. I think Calvin Ridley lived up to the mark. I just think that Calvin Ridley's trouble and the year suspension, which, by the way, was absolutely ridiculous in hindsight. Like he was the example being set. But yeah, I think that hurt him a little bit. And then I do like him in Jacksonville. I think that's a decent fit for him. But he could be so much more than he is. Imagine him in an Andy Reid offense. Like Calvin Ridley could be nasty.
Right. And then we also have to think about it. He was drafted into a really bad situation. He was drafted into the Falcons. Okay.
And he was still dominant with the Falcons.
His rookie year with the Falcons, he had 64 catches for 821 yards and 10 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Okay. 821 and 10. That was Rashee Rice numbers right there.
Did Rashee Rice even have 10 touchdowns this year?
No.
What did he end with? 8?
No. I'm not for sure, but he didn't get to 10. In year 2, 63 receptions, 866 yards. So he went up in yardage, 7 touchdowns. Year 3, 90 catches, 1,375 yards, and 9 touchdowns. His last year in Atlanta before he got, all that stuff. 31 catches, 281 yards, 2 touchdowns, and then he got suspended. And then back with the Jacksonville Jaguars, 76 receptions, 1,000 yards, 8 TDs. Calvin Ridley's not a bust. Calvin Ridley could flat out play with Patrick Mahomes.
Hey, subtract that U and add an EA in there because Calvin Ridley's a beast, baby. And he would be a beast in this offense. I love it. I do think it's a bit of a high price tag because you got to think, like, obviously,
Steve, that's why we've put him at 4, right? Because I think if you take the price tag off,
he goes up.
Yeah, if money's not a thing, Mike Evans, Calvin Ridley.
Well, I mean, these
guys are at 1.
Even considering money, like we did kind of think about, should we put him at number 1 instead of Marquise Brown?
Yeah.
Because they're very, they both would be great fits and they're around the same market value, but he was a little bit more expensive and he's a little bit older, I believe. Marquise Brown's, 20?
He's only 25, 26.
I gotta go look. He was younger than him.
He might be 27, actually. I'm not for sure.
I'm getting ready to find out. Don't worry about it. I got this. Okay. But yeah, he's 26. So Ridley's got 3 years on him. So that's why Marquise Brown ended up being our number 1.
So they both played 5 years. Isn't that weird that one's 26 and one's going on 30?
Well, Ridley he came in later. Like he was drafted at
I guess so.
24 years old or something. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, he was older. But
Hollywood Brown's never had a double-digit touchdown season, by the way.
Right. And that's the thing. Like Enrique was asking about the red zone problems, and Calvin Ridley's actually a very viable red zone target, as you see from his touchdown total. So, yeah, man, that's kind of it with that. But you have to think, man, T. Higgins, he just got tagged, but his market value was somewhere around 18.6 million. That was a market value on him. And his Calvin Ridley's is 17 million. So he's almost borderline T. Higgins money.
What is T. Higgins going to have to be paid if they don't come to a contract restructure? What's his
21?
So I mean, look, that's only $2 million above his market value. So I'm with you. Maybe they do try to work on something long term, and if he says no, he'll just take it.
I think with the salary cap increase, that they're going to keep him, and I think they know that if T. Higgins is not there and they only have Jamar Chase, because you have to think there's another guy we're going to talk about in a little while that's also a free agent. That leaves Joey B with 1 target and a crappy offensive line. They can't do that.
Running back.
They can't do that. I don't even think Mixon's going to be there.
No, and they don't even really have a tight end. They're begging. Dude, the Bengals fans are begging the Bengals organization to trade up and take Brock Bowers. Like, they want a tight end so bad.
Well, I mean, you have to think. Joe Burrow, he's a good quarterback. Don't get me wrong. I personally have him in that top 3 conversation if he's healthy, right? But, like, I think that Joey B needs something. Like, I don't think he's the guy that's going to go out there and win it with 1 target. Like you know how, like, Mahomes has had to deal with just having Travis Kelce? If Joe Burrow only has Jamar Chase, he's not gonna be that guy. So they have to protect him at all costs.
Enrique says, what do you do with our current receivers, especially Kadarius Sky and Justin Ross? Look, I think Kadarius may have played himself out of KC. He may have talked himself right out the door.
Possibly, but you have to remember how cheap of contracts these guys are on. They're all on rookie contracts. They don't cost us much. They have high ceilings. So I could see them all stick around, to be quite honest. It just really depends on how it plays out.
Right. But Kadarius, I think out of all these three, Kadarius would be the first one out.
Yeah, just because of the dumb stuff.
Sky, I would not be opposed to try to get Sky Moore, maybe launching him for like a 6th or a 7th round. I don't know if you can get somebody to do that, but I wouldn't be opposed to it.
Right. Eric with the 5 bomb, he says, am I the only one who would be surprised if they don't get a wide receiver and just keep Moore, Tony, and Hardman?
Right.
That seems on brand. Well, that's perfect for what we're about to show you. Because first of all, we already said Moore, Tony, those guys are cheap, right? Like, they're not costing us much of anything. They got a high ceiling. Keep them around. McCole Hardman. Let's talk about McCole Hardman. Mike, appreciate the 5. Eric Olson.
Appreciate you, Eric. Yeah. Number 5 on the list, KJ Osborne. Number 6, McCole Hardman.
Right. So, look, so right there, man.
We put KJ Osborne above McCole Hardman. And this is why. Me and Steve felt that KJ Osborne and McCole Hardman kind of do similar things. KJ Osborne, I would rather have any day of the week. And look, I'm sorry. I really like McCole Hardman. Great catch in the Super Bowl. Appreciate everything you've done here. But aren't we all kind of just ready to move along? Like, would the offseason kind of feel very lackluster and just kind of like deflating if the Chiefs re-sign Blake Bell, re-sign McCole Hardman, re-sign Richie James, and we're just back with the exact same team across the board? Like, you'd be like, well, we won with it, but I felt like we could have upgraded.
The reason why we put KJ Osborne above McCole Hardman, because we are with you, Eric Olson. We think the Chiefs will sign the familiar players for the most part, because that's what they do. So McCole Hardman has a high chance of being back with the Chiefs. That's why he's number 6 on our list. That's out of everybody in free agency. He's number 6 because we know how they do. But we put KJ Osborne ahead of him because I think he's a better receiver than McCole Hardman for the simple fact of a little word, consistency.
Yeah.
He's way more consistent than McCole Hardman. You can rely on him more. McCole Hardman, you never really know. He's a little bit of a wild card. He can either score you an 80-yard touchdown or he's going to fumble the ball.
Right. Look, KJ Osborne, he come out of Miami. He was a heck of a receiver. He's a smaller guy. He's 5'11", 203. But he's built like a running back. He's a running back with the ball in his hand. He kind of looks like what they were chasing with Sky Moore. He kind of does what McCole Hardman does on the outside. KJ can not only play the slot, he can go outside, Steve. We saw a lot of his film, and he was lined up on the outside by the numbers, and he was eating people up. If you go look at his PFF grades for the year, they're not like the flashiest things ever. He's pretty much every week he's in the 50s, the high 50s, the low 60s. His highest grade of the year was against Detroit, by the way, but that's a big game he stepped up in.
Right.
He was a 77 offensive grade and a 76 receiving grade. That was his best one. But if you look at his year, he caught 48 balls for 540 yards and 3 touchdowns. That would have been second on our team. And that was with don't get me wrong, Kirk Cousins a heck of a quarterback, but dude, he got injured and they were a revolving door the last 5 or 6 weeks of the season, right?
Josh Dobbs and like some random people, I think.
Right. So this kid's played 3 years. He's played 3 years with Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins is a good quarterback. He's not a great quarterback. He's not in the ballpark with Patrick Mahomes. We all know it. But in 3 years, 158 receptions, 1,800 yards, and 15 touchdowns. The kid knows how to get in the end zone. He knows how to get open. And the best thing about it, his drop percentage, he's only had 9 drops in his entire career. So he averages 3 per year. Okay. He had more drops this year than any other year, but it's because early in the season, he was battling some kind of an injury, so his timing was off. Everything wasn't thrown too well. And then he started dropping about week 14. He dropped 2 against Vegas. He had dropped 0 the 3 weeks prior, and he dropped 0 the last 4 games. And that was because they got the new QB in, and they just wasn't on the same page. So I don't think there's a problem there. He never dropped the ball in year 2, and he only dropped 2 in year 1. So I think KJ Osborne is a very solid wide receiver, Steve. And that just – was I not one that was saying he would have been a midseason trade candidate for me to fix the receiving room?
We talked about that. Yeah, we both thought that.
Right. So moving on, we got McCole Hardman. We're to the flashy guy now. Number 7, Mike Evans. Steve, Mike Evans, he's number 7. He's not the very bottom like Saquon. Saquon was the most expensive. Mike Evans might be the most expensive on the list.
Well, there's a reason.
But I think he's worth what he's asking.
So is Saquon Barkley, but the thing is, the wide receiver is more of a priority than a running back. So if the Chiefs were to spend a boatload of money on something, it's going to be a wide receiver. Will they do that? Probably not. That's why he's number 7 on our list. But I do think that it's still a possibility. So for all of you guys out there that are big time on Mike Evans, there's a possibility that could happen. There really is. He's what, 30, going on 31. But he is a lock for 1,000 yards a season. He's a game changer. He's an absolute beast. Him on the field with Travis Kelce would be unfair. I think that's one that if they were going to splurge, they could do it. But the thing is, the reason why we made these lists is because we're making most likely to sign with the Chiefs. So for everyone getting their hopes up for Mike Evans, we want to remind you that he might be number 7 on this list, maybe. And that's just being optimistic. So we're kind of showing you the more realistic and what you might actually see coming across as news on your little Bleacher Report notification. That's kind of what we're going for, is like what actually could happen. And that's why Evans is down at 7. But Mike, he's higher than 10 because it is a possibility. I don't think Saquon is.
Right. No, they're not paying that much for a running back. It's just not the way they're going to do it. But yeah, they're not going to go. The likelihood of them picking up a Mike Evans is honestly, Steve, put a percentage on it. I would say it's under 30% easily.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's way less than that. I think you're looking at 20%, like a 1 in 5, if you're lucky. I don't even know if it's that high. It's just a lot of money we don't have.
Maybe Brett Veach can pull one out. Maybe he does a little magicianry. Number 8, we got a familiar name, Amir Smith-Marset. He's back on the free agent market. Steve, he played very well last year. If we wouldn't have had so many names and so much stackedness there, that he was number 8. He was right there. And then we traded him for conditional swapping of 7th picks,
right.
Just conditional picks. But look, would it surprise you if Brett Veach went out and just snagged him again and said, hey, let's go back to camp and see if you can get on the team this year?
Because he likes the familiar faces, right? And here's the thing. Amir Smith-Marset was this last season's camp darling and preseason darling. Like, everybody fell in love with this guy. They thought because he was good in the preseason that he was a top wide receiver in the entire league. There's always those people, right? They get a little bit too horned up over some guys. But Brett Veach showed
We've not been horned up in a while, Steve.
But Brett Veach showed everybody. Yeah, it is ASMR Iron Price. Mike over there popping his fingers or something.
I did pop my fingers. You can hear that.
Yeah, it's like the ASMR channel. You have to be like,
welcome back to the channel, everyone. Let's talk about Mike Evans.
What kind of weirdo? Hey, so today we're going to talk
Some people listen to that because it relaxes them, Steve.
I can't. It makes
Should we start an ASMR Chiefs channel?
Dude, it makes me like cringe. Like, I hate it so much. I just want to punch something.
I'm going to make Cole do it.
Dude,
I bet Cole will do it.
He'll do it. He could do it.
Let's make Cole do it. He'll be like, welcome back. How about those Chiefs?
Now you have to whisper. You have to be like, but first, how about those Chiefs? Today, we're going to talk about.
Today, we're talking free agency.
But back to Amir Smith-Marset. The thing is, though, Mike, yeah, I could see it. He's on this list because he's going to be dirt cheap. He's probably less than $1 million market value. We know he's a good player. He's a versatile player. He's a kick returner. I mean, Brett Veach likes his little Swiss Army knives. He's not like a big name. He's not as good as everybody thinks he is, but he could be a target just because they're filling a need, right?
Hey, and I'm going to tell you something right now. Just because he's on the list doesn't mean that me and Steve think that he's going to come in and help.
No, absolutely not.
I don't think McCole Hardman actually helps that much. We're just trying to say again, these are names that you can see the Chiefs signing once free agency comes around.
Exactly. But here's the thing with Amir Smith-Marset, people need to realize, because there's a lot of people upset that they traded him and that he didn't make the 53-man roster and all that. You have to think Brett Veach valued and Andy Reid valued the wide receivers that we put on the field that everyone hated over that guy. and there has to be a reason, right? So I mean, think about that. But let's Veach better be writing down the list.
Hey, Veach.
You think he is?
Yeah, I think Veach would
I think
watch
Veach needs
us
to
more
hold up.
if we did more ASMR, Steve. Veach would be here, I think. He's a
Maybe
guy that would like it.
He looks like an ASMR guy. But no, Brett Veach needs to come right down our list when we start talking draft, because that's when we're better. We're on our A game.
Look, we had the discussion just before we went on air. Talking free agency is just not as fun as talking draft. Look, there's too many wild cards out there. There's too much ifs, ands, or buts.
Brett Veach was going to jump in the day before it even started and sign a right tackle to a $60 million guaranteed $80 million deal.
Right.
Nobody.
So yeah, free agency to me is more of a it's a very big shot in the dark. And believe me, a lot of people say, well, the draft, what are you talking about? That's a shot in the dark. We kind of have the finger on the pulse of how the Chiefs like to operate when it comes to draft. Now, we don't always hit them, but we'll be in the freaking ballpark. Sometimes in free agency, you're not even in the same freaking sport.
You never know.
I'm playing hockey, and Veach is over here kicking around the croquet.
Let's go ahead and finish this list off and talk about these wide receivers a little bit more, Michael.
Okay, let's do it. Number 9, Michael Pittman Jr. Number 10, Tyler Boyd. Now, we have Michael Pittman Jr. on the list. Again, he's actually going to demand more money, we think, than Mike Evans. Would I love to see Michael Pittman? 1,000%. Steve, the chances of getting Michael Pittman
he's not going to demand more than Mike Evans. I think that's a false statement.
You don't think he's going to be right at that $23 million mark?
He is. Mike Evans' market value is $24 million. Michael Pittman's at $23 million. I don't think Michael Pittman gets that. I don't think he gets that. I think Mike Evans will get that. That's where I'm at.
We'll have a little friendly wager on that.
Yeah.
Who will have the bigger contract?
Well, you gotta think, man. Mike Evans is proven. Like, he's got more 1,000-yard seasons. He might be up there with Kels, like close to it. Like, it's insane. Like, the guy's every year automatic. He's proven. He's one of the best in the league. He's a top fiver.
What do you think Michael Pittman's done? Michael
Pittman has been good, but he's not Mike Evans.
Right. But look, Pittman, 1,100 yards, 925, 1,000. He's had 3 basic 1,000-yard seasons. Now, he doesn't get in the end zone a lot. 4, 4, and 6. He had 6 in his second year. His rookie year was kind of slow. But look, the Colts have kind of been trash at the quarterback position, to be honest.
That's true, too.
I mean, come on. Mike Evans got to play with Tom Brady. I mean, he got to play with the GOAT himself, Baker Mayfield. The guy that is just
before
beat
Tom
Joe
Brady
Burrow every time.
He played with Jameis Winston and a bunch of garbage, bro. Like, Mike Evans is him.
Dude, I had this thought today, and I know this is out of nowhere. How would you feel if we signed Jameis Winston as the backup QB?
Not a chance, brother.
I just want to hear his amazing pregame speeches.
I think there's enough. There's enough crime in Kansas City. We don't need a guy stealing lobsters down his pants or whatever he did.
He didn't steal a steak and a lobster. That was fake, right? He did too.
No, he did.
Come on. I thought that was a joke.
You got to watch him. But yeah, here's a list. Of course,
Steve, we didn't talk about Tyler. Talk about Tyler Boyd a little bit. What do you think? Do you even like Tyler Boyd?
No, I don't like Tyler Boyd that much. The only reason I even added him to the list was because we had to take T. Higgins off the list.
Right.
Because we had T. Higgins
play.
We had T. Higgins on the list, but we kind of felt like he was going to get tagged, and of course he did. So I took him off the list, which he was somewhere in the middle. We took him off the list, slid in Tyler Boyd. Tyler Boyd, to me, a lot of people talk about him and they like him and they say he's a good slot receiver. I think he's mid. I think he's very mid. I also think that he's 30. Like, people don't realize that. They want to call everybody old. They want to call Mike Evans old, but they want to go with Tyler Boyd. Tyler Boyd's 30 years old, people. And his market value was up there pretty high. I don't know if I even wrote his down. But he's at a higher market value than you would think. Right. You can go check that out, Mike. But yeah, he's number 10 on the list just because, I mean, would it surprise me if they went that route? No, because I think he was around the $9-10 million mark.
No, he is a little old though, right?
Yeah, he's too old, and I don't want another slot receiver.
I think it's funny that people are like, well, Mike Evans is too old, those 30-year-old receivers, and then everybody's like, well, let's go get Tyler Boyd. And I'm like,
that's what I was just saying.
Tyler Boyd, even coming out of, college, he wasn't the most elite, he wasn't deceptively fast. He's not very quick in space. He's not all that great. To me, He runs. He's a pretty good route technician, I guess. That's why he does what he does. I seen where Brenda said she thought the Colts franchise tag Michael Pittman. They're in talks about doing it, but I don't think it's happened yet. But he is a candidate to be franchise tagged. And now that
Absolutely.
you've seen T. Higgins get it, Michael Pittman could get it. It's very possible. But
Right,
yeah,
right. Hey, but go ahead. Let's just go over the list one more time. We'll recap it, and then let's talk about some guys we didn't put on there and why.
okay. So number 1, Marquise.
Yep.
Number 2, Curtis Samuel. 3, Darnell Mooney. 4, Calvin Ridley. 5, KJ Osborne. 6, Miko. 7, Mike Evans. 8, Amir Smith-Marset. 9, Michael Pittman Jr. 10, Tyler Boyd. Steve, if the Chiefs sign one on this list, who's the guy you think they sign? If somebody tells you in 2 weeks or 3 weeks when free agency hits, the Chiefs have signed somebody from your all's list, who do you think it would be?
McCole Hardman.
I would not doubt that one bit, bro. I wouldn't doubt it.
I
Okay,
do. Now,
who's the guy you want them to sign, though?
if they sign new blood, I think it would be Marquise Brown. I think there's a reason why he's number 1 on our list, and I think he's the best fit. Maybe Calvin Ridley. But I think, like, to me, Mike, I've said a million times over the season, like, I don't care about getting a receiver unless they're going to get a guy that's going to make a difference. Like, I'm tired of, like, the run of the mill. I'm tired of the McCole Hardmans. I'm tired of the Richie Jameses. Like, let's get somebody that can actually do something, right? And I think the bottom of that tier is going to be Marquise Brown, Calvin Ridley. Do they have a whole lot of money to spend on a receiver? Not necessarily. So they probably can't pay Mike Evans $25 million a year. But I think they could pay Marquise Brown, Calvin Ridley the $15 million mark, because they could cut MVS and save that much in cap space.
Right.
Is the crazy part. So I mean, I think that's where I'm at with it, to be honest. Now, who would I be happy to see that? Yes. I would also be happy with Curtis Samuel. I think that all those guys would be great. Anything lower than that, I mean, that's why we didn't put certain people on our list, though, Mike. Like Richie James could very easily gone on this list if you go by the fact that they like to re-sign guys that are already acquainted with their, system. And another name on here, people's probably wondering why we didn't put on the list, and I'm going to explain this to them right now. Gabe Davis. That's a big name everybody talks about. They're like, oh, he's a great deep threat and this and that. Gabe Davis, by all means, is Marquez Valdez-Scantling. He don't do a whole lot for your team. He's going to run a lot of sprints. He's going to drop a lot of balls. He costs $14 or $15 million. He's not on our list because I don't think that he's an option. I really don't.
Right. Well, that means Brett Veach probably has him number 1 on the list, Steve.
That's a possibility, but I just don't see it. I don't see it at all. There's some other guys out there, Mike. Let's talk about some other guys real quick.
Can we address this?
That's going to happen, right? It needs to happen unless he restructures. They do like him.
Where would your restructure be in the ballpark to keep him? Somewhere around the $8 million mark? Or you got to go lower?
Me personally, I don't want to sign him for $8 million, but I think they would do it.
I think, if it were me and I were Brett Veach, he'd have to get somewhere around that $6 million mark.
I think the only way you restructure MVS for $7 or $8 million is if you already know that's freeing up enough money to sign a Marquise Brown. That's the only way. It just keep him on there as depth, obviously. But some other guys, Mike, we didn't put on the list, and I'll let you pick out who sticks out to you.
Okay.
We got DJ Chark. We didn't put on the list. Braxton Berrios, LaVisca Chenault, Van Jefferson, Devin Duvernay. Of course, Jawan Jennings, which someone talked about earlier. We didn't put him on the list because he's restricted free agent. And then there's Donovan Peoples-Jones, who just signed with the Lions last year. We talked about him being a target last season.
Right.
And they passed on him. So any of those strike you as somebody that could be on the list?
Name the first 3 again.
DJ Chark, Braxton Berrios. Who else did I have? LaVisca Chenault, Van Jefferson.
Cool. Van Jefferson, I think, drops too many balls. LaVisca Chenault, I just don't think he's ever lived up to potential, and I just don't know why. I would prefer to stick with Justin Ross over LaVisca Chenault. DJ Chark has some potential, but honestly, I don't think it's enough to sign him at what he's going to want. I think he's going to want. I don't even know what. Do you happen to have his value there? His
who?
DJ Chark. I'm almost positive he's going to want too much.
Market value is $11 million. That's too much for DJ.
That's insane. I would rather pay $11 million to MVS over DJ Chark. That's saying something.
No, I would take Chark over MVS.
I don't know about it.
I would.
I think MVS is a better blocker. Here's what I'll say. Nobody on that list strikes me being that great. If I had to pick one, geez Louise, bro. If I had to pick one of those guys, it would be like the last guy you said. I forget the name. What was the name? What was the last one you said?
I don't know. Van Jefferson?
No.
Devin Duvernay? LaVisca Chenault?
No.
Keep going. Braxton Berrios?
No. I think he's a little too old.
Gabe Davis?
No.
That's about it, bro. Donovan Peoples-Jones?
Yeah, that's him. I would maybe look at that because why? He could maybe do the MVS role. He's speedy. I don't think he's as fast as MVS. I wonder what Donovan Peoples-Jones runs. Do you know what his 40 time is?
I can look it up.
Well, I'm getting ready to click it really quick. So his 40-yard dash, let's see what he ran. He ran a 4.48. So see, there you go. He could maybe replace the MVS. I would kind of go to that route. If I had to, he would be the one on the list that I would probably look to if I must pick off that group of turds that you had going.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of any of those. Tom Young says, are we already giving up on Justin Ross? I don't think they're going to, man. I think they're going to keep with it. Am I starting to lose a little bit of faith in that project? Yeah, I'm not going to lie, a little bit. I feel like it's kind of running its course. But yeah, I don't know if they'll give up on him completely. A lot of people talking about Berrios being speedy and stuff, and he's a small guy. I think he actually does some kick returning too. But I just think Braxton Berrios, to me, he falls into that category of like, I don't care. Like if you're gonna sign back Reggie James, who cares?
Right, he's
doesn't
28.
matter.
I said he was 30, but he's only 28.
It doesn't matter. A lot of people talking about Tyler Lockett. That's if he's a cap casualty. I don't think they've cut him yet. But if they were to, I do like Tyler Lockett. But he's going to fall into that. I think let me see what his market value is.
Would you be opposed? We didn't talk about this. Would you be opposed to bringing in Odell Beckham Jr.? I've seen where now, I think it's RG3 said chief him up.
A lot of people think that. And I mean, I do think he's good. I think he's still pretty good. He had a good season last year. But I don't think that he's reliable enough. I feel like there's too much downside to him. Like, because you're going to have to pay him pretty decent. His market value is probably somewhere in the $10 to $50 million ballpark. He got paid $50 million last year. And I just think that's too much for a guy like that. If
you're
going to
saying
spend
that he's not going to be able to get that much again, but I wonder why. Because he got that much on a prove it deal, and he kind of looked good.
He did prove it. I thought he was pretty good, to be quite honest.
Right. So doesn't that mean he asked for it again?
You have to think
that's the point of a prove it deal.
OBJ, when he's been healthy, he was the best receiver on the Rams the year they won the Super Bowl. He was going to win Super Bowl MVP probably. He was tearing them apart. That guy was going off, and he got hurt. And then he comes back, plays for the best team in football, quote unquote, all throughout the season, and was a top receiver there and a very viable option for Lamar Jackson. So I think he still got it, but I just think it's a wild card. Like it's a risk to pay him what he wants.
Steve, look at this list. Let's just say Kevin Lockett gets cut tomorrow. Tyler Lockett, not Kevin.
Tyler Lockett, yeah.
Not Kevin.
Who's Kevin Lockett? Did you just make up a person?
No, Kevin Lockett used to play for the Chiefs, my boy.
Oh, yeah. That's where I've heard it.
Tyler Lockett. If Tyler Lockett was cut tomorrow and he could be put onto this list, where do you throw him in? Who do you slate him between, or does he go at the top?
Well, I couldn't find his market value, but I want to say it's probably 12 to 15 million. He's probably a pretty good price.
It's at least double digits. We'll just say double digits.
K-Wayne, it is his dad. That's the funny part. So I think he falls into above KJ Osborne, right around Calvin Ridley, Darnell Mooney.
So you put him between Ridley and Osborne.
Yeah, I do. I like his experience. He's also a K-State guy. His dad was a Chief. Like, that would be something that the fans would love. And he's a good receiver.
Dean says he'd put him at the top. You put Kevin
Dang.
Lockett at 30-some years old over these cats up here? I don't know.
I don't know about that.
I'm not going to
But,
say
I mean,
you're wrong.
I
I
would
think
put
it's
him-
all a matter of opinion.
Well, I think having him in between Calvin Ridley and KJ Osborne here is technically having him at the top, because we talked about Calvin Ridley and Marquise Brown. They're almost interchangeable on this list. They really are. The only
Right.
reason why we put Curtis Samuel, Darnell Mooney above Calvin Ridley is money.
Right. I
Like-
was going to ask you that. I was going to say, look, if you took money out of the equation, Steve, is Marquise Brown still your top guy? Because I know you wouldn't put CalvinRidley below Darnell Mooney.
If
it
money
wasn't for
comes,
money.
if money's out of the equation, your top guy's Mike Evans, hands down.
And then Pittman, right?
Yeah, probably. But then again, I think Pittman, to me, I think he's better. Like, got
Pittman
a
may
higher
be that-
ceiling.
Pittman could be that receiver the Chiefs couldn't figure out how to use him properly because he's not the biggest burner in the world.
Right. And I also put him in that category. Like, Michael Pittman to me is around like a T. Higgins, right? Like, they're kind of the same ballpark of player. Tyler Lockett, though, I'd have him up there pretty high. I wouldn't put him straight at the top, but I'd have him up there pretty high just because of the experience he has. That's a lot more than a lot of these other guys have. He's more proven. You know what you're getting. And Tyler Lockett is a guy that's like, we could pay him that much money if we were willing to only want him for a small window, right? Like, we want to be really good next year and then worry about receiver later. Sign Tyler Lockett to a 1 year, right? Like, that's
Right.
like did Juju. Let's use them and move on. But I think there's so many options on the table. I don't think we have to go that route. I think they could find a guy like Marquise Brown, Calvin Ridley, some of these other guys that were on the list that could be a longer term answer. And you don't have to have the same, we won't be having the same talk next year or the year
Right.
after.
Okay, look, I'm going to give you 3 one-year contracts. 3 one-year contracts. You have to take one guy off each list we just had. And I'm going to give you $21 million. That's all you can spend on
You're
these
making
3.
me do math. Okay.
21 million, and you got to pick one off our running back list, one off our tight end, and one on our wide receiver list that will make this team better next year. And that's pretty hard to do because why? We are the Super Bowl champs back to back. But who? One person off each list. And we'll go ahead with the premise that we're going to go ahead and just
21
stick
million was a pretty good little amount of money, actually. So I think I can come up with something here. Let me give me two minutes.
Well, let's go with 20 million. It's just a nice even 20.
Okay. I'm gonna take. Let's see here. Let me
Here's
do the
your running
math.
backs.
Let's make sure my math's mathing. Okay.
Okay.
And then what was market value on Mike Gesicki?
About 4.5 to 5 million. So just round up. Go 5.
Okay. Well, this is gonna put me at 20.5 million. But that's what I'm going with because you said 21 originally and you switched it to 20.
Okay,
I'll
cool.
do you one better. I'll go right in the middle. I think my perfect formula here, if you wanted to sign a free agent of all 3 positions, which I think is very unnecessary.
Right.
I think
I don't know.
I think you spend on one and then draft the others. But if you were taking one from each, like you said, $21.5 million, I'm taking Curtis Samuel at wide receiver. I think he
Number 2. Okay.
dude, first of all, very versatile, very good, sure hands, red zone threat right there, 11.5 million. And then I'm going to take Antonio Gibson. He can do that Jerick McKinnon role, and he's very young and he's got a high ceiling. He could be
Right.
very, very good receiving back, and he can also grind it out on the ground at $4 million. And I'm taking Mike Gesicki at wide receiver for the $5 million. That would put me at $20.5 million. That would be where I'd go if I was picking out of just this list and I had $20 million. I'm going right there. Curtis Samuel, Antonio Gibson, Mike Gesicki. Now, what I would like to see is you do your own exercise. What do you think?
Ooh, that's a good one. That's a good one. Okay, I'll start on the tight end. I think out of this group, I want to replace Blake Bell. So, again, I think our pass catchers are in place. And I think if you wanted to go the Gesicki route, I just think they bring up Bushman. I think that's what they would do. So, I'm going to take a blocker here, and I would take...
Do you
I'm
really
gonna-
think Bushman's even in the same stratosphere of an athlete that Mike Gesicki is?
Maybe not, but again, it's a tight end 3. So how much time are they actually
But
going to
would
get over?
Gesicki be a tight end 3? Because if they brought him in, he's giving Noah Gray a run for his money. We're talking about a guy that run a 4.4.
Do
and
you
he's
think they're going to give up
6'6"?
on Noah Gray though in his contract year?
I don't think they'll give up on him, but gosh, I think Gesicki could be a weapon right off the bat.
Well, okay. I'm going to go with Drew Sample at $2 million because he is the best blocking tight end in just maybe the league. So he can run block, he can pass block. He can catch the ball. He's a smart kid. He's a very good guy. That's kind of weird coming from Cincinnati, but he's just a good guy. And I think that burns up Cincinnati just a little bit. So that's a plus. So that's $2 million. I think at the running back position, I love where you were sitting with Antonio Gibson at about 6. I still think that's
He's
a little
at 4,
much.
actually. He's a
So
4.
So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do you one better. I'm going to sign 1 and 2 back and just say McKinnon, Clyde for $3 million because they're about 1.5 each.
Dude, that's probably the most likely.
So that's 3 plus 2. That is 5, and that gives me 15 mil, and bring on Marquise Brown at 15 mil. And that's how I would do it. I would do Marquise Brown, I would do Drew Sample, and I would do Clyde and Jerick McKinnon.
I think people would be happy with that.
Right. And that's not the sexiest thing in the world. I don't think a lot of people want Clyde back.
No, but I mean, he's going to be so cheap, and he actually ran well this year. TGZ with the gifted membership. Appreciate you, TGZ. All of you all that have gifted memberships and donated tonight, you guys are awesome. Appreciate you guys. If you guys would like to support the channel, anything goes towards the channel, it'll help. So we definitely appreciate that. Gifted memberships help grow the memberships, the ACU crew. So appreciate you guys.
Eric, you cheated. Mike Evans was too much by himself. He was 23. We only had 20.
He's 24 million, bro.
Okay. See, he was 4 over. So by our game, Mike Evans was excluded.
Yeah, you kind of set the bar pretty low.
Does it, Mike? Hey, does that sound like what Brett Veach is going to do or what?
Right. I mean, I think what's most likely out of all this, Mike, we gave. I think those lists are pretty solid. Like, people can think what they want about it, but I think that's the most likely in order. And I think the very most likely situation that you see is Jerick McKinnon, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and McCole Hardman all back as Chiefs, and then them not even do anything at tight end.
Right.
Like that's definitely the most likely scenario. Like, I would not be surprised at all if that's the route they took.
Right. Where did I read this? Oh, Brian. Brian says Drew Sample is injury prone. I've looked, and it says that in 2022 he had a grade 3 ACL tear and an ACL sprain. He recovered from that, and in 2019 he had a high ankle sprain. So he's only had 3 injuries in his career. But I will say, at a blocking tight end, that's not going to catch the ball much. You're going to be asked to catch. What did Blake Bell catch this year? 5 balls?
Yeah, maybe.
That's what I'm saying. You don't need him for that. You put him in 12 personnel, 13 personnel. He blocks. He does things like that. And he's proven he's got back from the high ankle, and he's got back from the ACL thing. I don't think it's a big deal. So, I mean, yeah, has he been injured? Yeah, but I mean, that's what football is.
Right. David House says he was dozing. Mike, you bored him to death. You bored him. He fell asleep. And he said, is Mike Williams on your list? No. Mike Williams is the epitome of injury prone, and he's expensive.
Yeah, I don't think I'd put him on there.
Technically he's not a free agent, though. They got to cut him first, right?
Right. Would you just put him on the team so somebody else don't put him on there and beat the crap out of us with him every time we play him?
He does beat the crap out of us every time he plays us, right?
Maybe we should play some chess and just get him on our team so he can't beat us.
Right. Well, hey, you guys let us know in the chat if you enjoy this type of thing, because we're going to go ahead and probably do it with the other positions of free agency, and that'll be kind of our free agency coverage.
Let us know where you guys want us to go next. Do you think we should go tackle? Do you want us to start it on the defense? Really, tackle is about our only other offensive position, right?
Yeah, I think so. So yeah, we'll look at that and then the defense. So yeah, let us know if you guys like this kind of thing. We're going to do more of it. Also, cannot wait to get into the draft, Mike. Like that's what I'm waiting for, baby.
The draft's what I'm waiting for too, man. I'm actually starting to dig in a little bit. It feels
I've dipped
overwhelming.
my toes in. I've actually watched a little bit of tape.
Me too, but doesn't it kind of feel overwhelming to know there's 500 players out there and I've watched maybe 2?
Yeah, we're not like the hugest college football fans. We watch Kentucky play. We don't really dig in.
Who did you get to watch? May I ask who you've watched? You said you watched some film on something. Do you have 1 or 2 you've watched?
I watched some tape on the receiver from Texas.
Which one? There's 2.
I can't think of his name. He's top of the list.
Mitchell?
There you go. I watched some tape on him just to see what the hype was about.
I like him.
I do. I like him too.
I like AD Mitchell. But I also like Xavier Worthy, the other kid on there. He is a burner.
I did watch him as well. So both of those are very viable options.
Did Xavier Worthy remind you of anybody, preferably somebody that come out of last year's draft class? He reminded me of Zay Flowers an awful lot, didn't he?
Yeah, I could see that.
Tracking that deep ball.
I could see it.
I think Xavier Worthy might be on a short list for the Chiefs, the way he can run, boy. We'll have to see.
There's a few. I can't wait to dig in, though.
I can't either, man. It's going to be awesome.
David Howe's talking about is his name Malachi?
Malachi Corley.
Yeah. He's a good one, too, man.
He's good. I'm going to tell you a little bit about Malachi that I don't love. His route tree was not very extensive at Western. And he does make good highlight catches, and he's very solid. He's like a running back with the ball, so I do love that. But the one thing I kind of didn't love about him is he don't do contested catches a lot. But then again, I started thinking about it, and do the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes actually throw a lot of contested balls?
They don't.
Basically throw to space. So,
I think the reason why they don't, though, is they've never really had a guy that can win those.
But look, Western, that's right up the road from us, man. I know all about Malachi. I watched him a little bit.
Yeah.
That kid can flat out play. Right now, I think I probably got him somewhere around a day 2 pick, day 2, day 3.
Right. Yeah. Ray. Yeah. We kind of answered your question for you. Also watched some Malik Neighbors as well. I think he's pretty good as well.
Malik Neighbors is a definite top 10 pick. That's for sure.
Yeah. I think he's out of our range, honestly.
Yeah, I do too. But his running mate, Robinson, I believe, the one on the other side. My God, I've never seen nobody get a corner on their heels and leave them in the dust like he does. That kid might be a fun one.
Yeah, Mike Johnson says this cast was great. Love chopping up info on off-season needs. Yeah, man, we love this stuff too. So yeah, we're going to continue to do it. So I'm glad that you liked it. Where was this at? Oh, Sydney says that if Mike Williams would come for $10 million a year, that they would risk it. Would you risk Mike Williams for $10 million? Maybe on a 1 year? Would he do that?
Would he? I don't know. I would give Mike Williams $11 million if you cut MVS. I would gladly let him take MVS's contract. Would you?
Yeah,
he's not going to do the same, though. He's not going to stretch the field like MVS is.
He's a much better receiver than MVS, so if healthy.
But then maybe you go ahead and you have Rashee Rice. You would have Mike Williams, and then maybe you draft that Xavier Worthy that can stretch that field for you. And you're nasty.
It would be nasty. Hey, don't get nasty.
Don't be nasty.
Chiefer says, are we doing Fortson again? My guess is no. I think Fortson, I love Fortson, and I think he had a high ceiling, but Fortson is he made of glass?
Yeah, that cat doesn't even, I don't even think he wants to play football. Hey, I like him, though. He's a good kid.
Yeah, for sure. I'm a fan, too, but I just feel like he could potentially tear an ACL, walking out of his bedroom. Like, it's rough for him. I hate it.
Playing Madden once.
Yeah, I hate it though. Enrique with a 2 says, love the off season, especially with a Super Bowl in the back. Doesn't that make it so much better, Enrique? Like, that's what I was saying before they even won the Super Bowl. I was like, man, I hope they win the Super Bowl because I'm really excited to jump into the off season, but it's going to be so much better with another ring on that finger, right? Like, I mean, that third Lombardi for Patrick Mahomes made this off season pretty sweet.
Right. Dude, everybody's loving the draft talk. It's going to happen, though. Chief Kelsey says Thomas from LSU. Yep, that's the kid I was talking about. That kid he's very raw. He's raw. But, dude, if you can get somebody to work with him, and that might be a problem with us. Everybody thinks Connor Embry can't develop receivers, so.
Hey, Kay Wayne says, I give Mike Williams $10 a month already.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Probably
You
more
think-
than that, K. Wayne.
You think I could get on the team as a wide receiver? What if they announce Mike Williams league minimum and then I just show up at the press conference? I'm like,
Dude, I'm for it because I feel like listen, I don't know how Mike would be as a wide receiver, but I will tell you this. Hell of a second baseman. Okay, like we're talking hands. Nothing got by. Nothing got by there, Mike.
yeah. I mean, we're
So,
pretty
yeah.
good baseball players.
I would maybe trust your catching abilities over MVS's on certain points. Are you going to be open? No, you're not.
No, oh
But-
God, no. I'm not even getting off the line of scrimmage. If I run a 3-yard bubble route, I'm having to take a break. Like I'm not stretching
Breathing
the field.
Get the oxygen mask.
Yeah, let's get that out. But look, I'll challenge him to a catch off. Put me on the jug machine. Let's go.
Yeah, KC fan Mike was just talking about Worthy from Texas. I've seen him in some mock drafts to the Chiefs as well, and I do think that's a huge target probably for the Chiefs. He's so fast. I mean, he fits the bill, right?
Right. I've seen Ray too. He said Steve Smith Jr. likes Rick Pearsall and Xavier Leggett. Xavier Leggett is one a lot of people's wanting us to watch. I've
That's a
seen
South
some
Carolina
Xavier
kid?
Leggett. Yes, I've seen a lot of Xavier Leggett.
Or
He hurt
Arkansas.
himself.
Where's he from?
He's from South Carolina.
Okay.
Look,
Wasn't there a guy from Arkansas as well? Or I'm thinking last season.
I don't remember. But yeah, Xavier Leggett, this kid, like, he had to fight to be on the team. Like, he done a lot of his, he got there because of a lot of special team stuff. He's very good at kick returning, punt returning. And then he come out of nowhere and just started catching balls this year. Dude, I see some Alshon Jeffrey in him, and I don't know if it's because they both came from the same school. But, dude, that's what I see when I watch him. And I feel like you could see – but
Whatever
I
happened
feel
to
like
that guy?
don't you feel like though sometimes with that player style and everything, if they don't end up in the right spot with the right QB, they can just diminish.
They
Like
can
you're
turn
like, what
into
happened to Xavier Leggett in 3 years?
They could turn into a Laquan Treadwell.
Right. Or you say, my God, how come Xavier Leggett didn't go in round 1? But yeah, right now I've got him probably like a late day 1, early day 2 pick. But I think Xavier Leggett, I want to get into more film and all these guys, but my initial watch is I like him. I think he's pretty good.
Yeah. Speaking of draft content, if you guys love draft content, I urge you to go over to patreon.com/allchievedup and become a member over there. It's $10 a month, but we're getting ready to load it up with draft content. We'll do a lot of draft content on YouTube as well, but at the risk of not flooding YouTube with draft content, we're going to put a lot of it over on Patreon. So if you're a big draft person, definitely get over to patreon.com/allchievedup and become a member over there because there's going to be a lot of draft content there as well.
Right. Brian says I go in motion and collapse behind the tight end. 100%, bro. Not doing it. Eric says let's get Ladd McConkey. Sorry.
Ladd McConkey
from Georgia. He's a little guy, but boy, he's a burner. And I think he's going to run 4 threes. If he runs 4 threes, there's some
He'll
teams
be on the
late in
list.
the first. There's some teams
He'll be
late
on
in
the short
first.
list.
Yep. Late
Yeah, for
first
sure.
round teams like the Chiefs could be looking at that kid for real.
Yep. Cam Cobain with the 5 bomb. Appreciate you, Cam. He says, in a crazy world, I wish we could sign Justin Jefferson. That wouldn't even be fair, right? I mean,
Dude.
Gosh, man. Justin Jefferson and Patrick Mahomes together would not be fair. So, yeah, in a crazy world, I wish it too, but it's never going to happen, man. I mean, I guess it could, but it's never going to happen.
Right. Do you think, my gosh, like that's just insane. Like, do you feel like the NFL would step in and say that we wasn't allowed to do it? You remember when like the Lakers made that trade and they stepped in and were like, nope, can't do it.
Yeah. Nope. We have to veto that. Appreciate the 5, Cam. Also, TGZ says, do we have any tight ends looking good for the draft? We're going to dive in much further. Off the top of my head, obviously Brock Bowers probably going to be a top 10 pick. That guy's a lot of people coveting him. There's Jatavion Sanders at was he Tennessee or Texas?
He's Texas.
Texas guy. Okay, and then Cade
Texas
Stover
has a lot of good players coming out.
Cade Stover is also a decent option. I feel like he's kind of a blocker though. Like he can do the blocking side as well. Definitely going to dig in more. That Texas tight end, that's what he's talking about there, Chris Wright. Yeah, that guy's a beast. I like him.
I like Ben
Texas,
Sinnott out of K-State.
man. Texas though, they've got some players, dude. Like you were saying.
Dude, Xavier Worthy, A.D. Mitchell, Jatavion Sanders, those guys, they had an offense, man. They really did.
Absolutely.
That's
Yeah, I was going to say, we'll get more into those tight ends. We'll get more into every position as far as the draft goes. Kind of the way we're doing free agency, we'll get into the draft even deeper. So, I mean,
oh yeah, for sure.
Can't wait to do that. We got a 2-bomb from Flapjack. Says Steve Smith said Leggett is a better DK Metcalf. I don't know about that. I think DK
Metcalf.
Yeah.
Well,
honestly,
this would be my knock on Leggett. He had one good year. Now, granted, it's because Spencer Rattler was a good quarterback, and he didn't have nothing before then. I would have loved to see Leggett be able to do this for 2 years or 3 years, so sustained. But look, he shows a lot of promise. I don't know if I could say he's better than DK Metcalf. Steve Smith, he's a little wild.
Steve
sometimes.
Smith also said that Sky Moore was going to be the best receiver in that draft. So if y'all want to take that for what it's worth, appreciate the 2 there, Flapjack.
Hey, we were pretty high on Sky Moore.
We were, well, that's the thing. I still think Sky Moore could end up being a good receiver in the league. I just don't know if it's going to be with the Chiefs. Well, is he going to be a superstar? No, but I think he's going to be pretty good somewhere.
I wish he would do it with the Chiefs. Let's be honest.
Too.
I wish he'd come back next year and be good. Who doesn't root for that?
He's going to be Joe Horn. That's what Chief Kelsey was saying earlier.
Joe horned up.
But yeah, I appreciate you guys. Hit that like button if you haven't yet. Go hit that. Just takes a second. It helps us out. Also, if you have not subscribed to the channel and you love the Chiefs, what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button. Hang out with us. We're going to be jumping into a lot more free agency, a lot more draft stuff. So y'all get your questions in. If you have any more questions, go ahead and get those in because we're going to be here for just a little while longer, and we'll knock those out. But just wanted to go ahead while we're kind of taking a little bit of break from the chat and the action, Mike. I want to go ahead and plug the store, merch.allchiefedup.com. If you guys would like to get some merchandise, get over there. Till the end of February, which is not many more days, you can use the promo code champions and get free shipping. So merch.allchiefedup.com. Get yourself a Sneed McDuffie 24 Make Defense Great Again shirt. Get you a back-to-back KC shirt. That one's sweet, Mike. I'm going to have to get myself that one, I think. And then, of course, the Kansas City Strong shirt. Love the Kansas City Strong shirt as well. All those proceeds we're going to send on to the KC Strong Foundation. So if you'd like to pick up one of those, do that as well. And much, much, much more over there in the store right now. Free shipping with promo code champion. So get yourself some All Chiefed Up merch. Rep your favorite podcast. Rep your favorite team all at one time, baby. Why not?
Yeah, for sure. Combine, Steve, starts next week.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it?
Dude, do you want to drive up to Indy and watch it live?
Not really.
I'd love to. You don't want to?
Man, I don't know. I might be tripped out for a little bit. Me and Pops had an adventure.
I mean, Indy's only 2 hours, buddy.
I'm good. Okay. I'll stick to the smaller crowds for just a little while.
Yeah.
But
yeah, it starts next week. I don't know if we'll cover it live because they do like replays and everything. Do they show it live? I'm pretty sure they may show it live and then go ahead and do a replay.
Oh, I'm sure we'll cover it. We probably won't cover it live, like be there the whole time, but we're definitely going to cover the combine. So,
I mean, we could. I wouldn't be opposed to like maybe doing certain positions, but see, we can't show it on here, right? So yeah, you can't show it. So I mean,
it'd be more of a hangout, and we're talking about it. Yeah. So,
but we plan to do the draft this year. We did the draft last year. We kind of had Will Levis in there giving us some picks. You remember that?
Oh, Will Levis.
Thanks, William. I wish he'd go back to the draft this year.
William Levis told us what was happening last year, though. He kind of gave us a heads up.
He's a Levis.
A legend. Will Legend.
Legend. Oh, well.
What do you think about Will Levis? You think he's going to pan out or not for Tennessee? What do you think? Do you still have the same valuation? Like, as Kentucky fans, we watch Will Levis a lot, and I thought he was a very talented quarterback. He's got an arm and a half. He's got a cannon. He can run the ball. He's a big boy. But I just don't know if he has that clutch gene. I think he's got a little bit of the Josh Allen going on.
Right. I think he has to prove to me that he's just not going to be a dud when the lights come on in key situations. Like, could he drive you down the field like Mahomes when he needs that touchdown? I don't know if he has that. I don't know if he has that. I mean, I like him.
I think that's why he dropped too out of the first round. I think he just lacks that. Like, if he could be a little bit more clutch, he's got all the tools. So I mean,
yeah. Well, they're saying DeAndre Hopkins might be a cut. Boy, what about DeAndre Hopkins? Would you slide him in on our list?
He already made a comment saying that was silly, thinking that he was leaving Tennessee. So I don't know if he's staying, take his money or what, man.
That's crazy. No D-Hop episodes this year. It's gonna be
weird.
we're
gonna have to pick a different. Should we just start Mike Evans episodes, like a really unrealistic one, and just wear it out? For Chief Kelsey, can we go from D-Hop? Can we go to Mike Evans?
What if we just do a D-Hop episode anyway? Talk about a D-Hop again.
K. Wayne says he don't comprehend all tripped out because he drives 3,000 miles a week. The driving wasn't the bad part, K. Wayne. Like, driving was fine. I can tackle that drive whenever. It didn't bother me. Like 8 hours up, 8 hours back, that wasn't bad. Plus, when you're hanging out, when you got good company, like me and Pops, even though he did fall asleep quite a bit, Pops was real sleepy. He left, he fell asleep every once in a while, but when you got good company, 8 hour drive is not bad. I don't think it was that bad at all.
Pop sleeps like 2 hours a night. Like, he survives off naps.
Off of little power naps. And you know what's funny is he don't plan the power naps. They just happen.
He's like Kramer from Seinfeld. Dude, remember the episode where he just tried to power nap himself through life?
We're literally eating dinner at Jack Stack, one room over from Donna Kelsey and Travis Kelsey. And Pops is like falling asleep in his plate. Like, that's how much he cared. He's like, I'm going to sleep right here on my filet mignon.
Jeez.
The power naps pick him. He don't pick those, like.
Sounds like narcolepsy. Just a slight.
I think it's just being old. I think it's just part of being old.
That's true. I want to sleep too. Dude, I'm driving like 5 and 6 hours a night. So yeah, I feel it. K. Wayne says he falls asleep all the time. Hopefully not driving, K. Wayne. Daggone.
I will tell you this, K. Wayne. You're probably not one of them. I feel like I hope you're not one of them, but some truck drivers just suck. They need to find a different profession. It's like, what are you even doing out here?
K. Wayne could answer the one question that all of America has. Why is it when two trucks are driving and one's going 60 and one's going
all
59?
The way to Kansas City? Dude, Pop's can attest for that. I was
Why
so
do
mad.
they get next to each other and drive the same speed a lot? Is that just to irritate people behind them?
Get the hell out of the way already. Like, if you can't pass, don't try. All right, Zane with a 10 bomb. He says, hey, guys, love the channel. I've been wanting to know y'all's favorite top 3 all-time favorite Chief players. Sorry, I got a little tongue-tied on that, but I know what he means.
Zane, thanks for the 10 bomb, first of all.
I appreciate that. Top 3 of all time. Got to put Patty Mahomes in the conversation because he revived the Chiefs championship era, right? Like, the Chiefs are champions again 50 years later, and we have 3 since. Patrick Mahomes, easily top 3. I'm going to go myself, one of my favorite Chiefs of all time, Jamal Charles. I got to go with JC, man. I mean, just so exciting. Just an amazing player. And then, of course, Derek Thomas has to be on the list. So, Mike, what do you got?
I mean, my all-time favorite player was Derek Thomas growing up. That was about the era I started watching. Well, when the era I started watching, it was about the era I started to understand football very well. Late 80s, early 90s. Man, I like a lot of them. I liked watching the Dick Vermeil years. I thought that was some of the best offenses. I actually didn't mind Trent Green a lot. Like, a lot of people kind of hated Trent Green sometimes, but I don't know. I can name some wild ones. Like, you remember Mike Maslowski? Everybody loved him. I don't know. There's so many. It's hard to name 3, but yeah, I mean, Patty's got to be in there now because he's revived it. And then I don't know, who did I say? Derek Thomas and Patty. One more I'll throw out.
We're 2 for 2. Who are you switching up? I went with JC, so.
Right. I always liked Jared Allen growing up. I thought he was fun.
Yeah, you and Pops both love Jared Allen.
Yeah,
I
Jared
remember
Allen
that.
was fun. I'll go back a little further. I used to like Stephon Page a lot, wide receiver. I loved Greg Wesley, safety. He'd put the wood on you.
I loved Bernard Pollard.
Right. So many. Duron Cherry, baby. I love Duron Cherry. I like
Eric
Neil Smith.
Berry.
I
Eric
didn't
Berry
like
could
when-
be close.
Right. Didn't like when Neil Smith went to the Broncos, but I liked Neil Smith. So many.
Yeah. Hey, appreciate the
question,
10,
man.
Zane. Put some legendaries in the chat for Zane. Mark Williams, Pop says, leave me alone. Okay. It's okay. Brian Parrott says it's the old guy face plant. Shut up. We'll leave you alone. K. Wayne don't like truck drivers. That's good to know. And most trucks have governors, Mike, and that's probably why they get stuck beside each other being slow. There's your lesson for the day.
Well, why do they pass? Just drive the same speed.
I don't know. There's so many questions there.
So many
Ron has dropped a 5 bomb here. So shout out to EB for getting the OC job at UCLA. Yeah, Mike, I was going to bring that up, and I actually saw someone else bring it up in the chat as well. Sorry, I can't remember the name, but EB has done exactly what we said he should do. Go to the college game. He's going to be way more effective there. I swear.
Look,
I think he's going to
get yourself a head coaching job next year or the year after. Stay here for 3 or 4 years and come back to the NFL.
Do you think it's kind of like PTSD though for him? Like, man, do I have to go try to be a good offensive coordinator in college to get a head coaching job and then never get one there? Like, you think he's going to think that?
No, because I believe in 2 to 3 years, Deion Sanders will leave Colorado and he could very well be a head coach there. He should have taken that.
Into that.
I think he should have taken that.
I appreciate the 5, Ron, and the gifted membership earlier. You're awesome, bro. Timothy been a member for 4 months now. Says top 3 KC Chief coaches. Well, I think Andy Reid tops that list. If you're talking about our era,
I mean, I grew up with Marty Schottenheimer. Let's be honest.
You got to go Marty. And who are you taking? Because there was a stretch of chief coaches that I wasn't a fan of.
You loved Romeo Crennel.
I did not like Romeo Crennel. I hated Todd Haley.
You loved Todd Haley.
I'm gonna have to go with. Let's go Marty. What about Gunther?
Gunther was fun, but Gunther Gunther was great. I mean, you got to put Hank Stram on the list.
Right. But I was saying our time. You didn't watch Hank Stram.
Yeah, right. But yeah, you would say Hank and Andy and probably Marty. You could maybe switch out Dick Vermeil. I don't know. Dick Vermeil won a lot of games, but they never could get over the hump thanks to Greg Robinson. Who's my favorite coach? I love Dick Vermeil. I thought Dick Vermeil was sappy. He'd cry all the time. All the players loved him, but he was just
some great offenses with Vermeil, though.
He was a big baby. I didn't like Vermeil because he wouldn't get rid of Greg Robinson. So that was the thing. Yeah, and I like Andy, of course.
Awesome. We appreciate you being a member, by the way, Timothy. And Flapjack with the 2 bomb says the Raiders head coach wants to kill Mahomes. Did he issue a death threat?
No, he said they're going to do the Michael Jordan thing where they're just going to try to beat him to death. It's not going to happen. Dude, they got lucky and beat us when we played the worst game of our season, and now he thinks they've come up.
He thinks they've come up with something.
We're going to smack them. Look, we're going to beat them 4 straight times, and in the end of 2 years, he's going to be fired.
So I think that was a good coaching sign for them. I think that was the smartest one they've had in a while because that team reacted for him and played well for him, and I think he'll be a good head coach there. But this is not the way to start out your tenure. Why do you want to even remotely challenge Patrick Mahomes? Just ignorant stuff. Appreciate the 2, Flapjack. Pop says Christian Okoye makes his list.
Okay, yeah, I can see Okoye.
Chris Wright has Deron Cherry in there. Derek Johnson, Gary Holland. That's a good one. I liked Derek Johnson, actually. Man, he could hit.
Johnson. Did you like Larry Johnson?
I did.
I didn't. I wasn't opposed to Larry Johnson. He was a good running back.
If you take a little small section of LJ, he was dominant. He was an absolute monster.
There's about 2 or 3 years where he was a monster.
Dude, he was a beast. I do like him, actually. Oh, he wouldn't be on my top 3.
We still got to get Marty in the Hall of Fame, though. That was our goal.
Marty!
Got to get Marty to the Hall of Fame, baby. Steve, do you like Herm Edwards?
Not really. I don't like him as a commentator either.
I feel like Herm's heart was in the right place. Like he was a good guy and he wanted to win, but I just don't feel like his
being
style,
a good guy don't get you very far. Like
right. I just don't
you
feel like
have
his
to have-
style
yeah.
worked.
You got to have the rest of it too. Like everybody can't be Andy Reid. They can't be a good guy and still be the greatest coach of all time. You know?
Yeah, true.
Man, good stuff. Good stuff. Yeah, man, I think it's going to pretty much wrap it up for the night, though, Mike. You got anything left for Chiefs Kingdom out there? I'm going to tell you guys, hit that like button on the way out. Appreciate the donos. You guys are awesome. Thanks for being a member. If you're not a member yet, go to join. I think you just do join.allchiefedup.com and it'll take you where you need to be. Also, if you just go to our main page, our YouTube homepage, you should see a join button there. Also, merch.allchiefedup.com. Get yourself some merchandise and support the channel at the same time. Promo code champions get you free shipping for the rest of the month. So take advantage of that. Also, patreon.com/allchiefedup. You can see right up there. Go become a member over there. You're going to get a lot of draft content and extra bonus episodes. So that's my spiel, Mike. Do you have anything left for the ACU crew tonight?
No. Our next live, I don't know if we'll go live any random times. If we do, be on the lookout, but we'll definitely be live on Wednesday. This next Wednesday coming up, we'll probably cover the rest of our free agency. We'll probably get to all the defense. We'll hit the offensive line a little bit, which, spoiler alert, at left tackle looks bleak. Okay. It ain't going to be much.
It's not looking good.
No, I'm pretty sure Donovan Smith is going to be at the top of the list, as sad as that is. But yeah, we'll cover that one. And then, Steve, we're going to get into the draft, baby. We're going to be in the draft. So yeah, we'll finish off everything Wednesday. And then, gosh, Thursday and Friday's combine. Can you believe
That's
it?
wild, bro. Just no off season. No off season. Get to work. Get to work, Mike.
I know. I got to get to work. That's what I got to do. I got to start looking.
Yeah,
Watching
for sure.
film,
Appreciate you guys being here. Just can't stress that enough. Thanks for hanging out with us. If you haven't subbed, hit that subscribe button. Hang out with us more often. And go Chiefs, baby. We'll see you next time.
Go Chiefs.
There goes a sight from my soul.